Hello children, and welcome back to your maths lessons. Now with a new half term there comes a new topic. We're moving away from time now and we are beginning to look at fractions. Okay children, before we learn anything new about fractions, I thought it would be a really good opportunity to get our maths brains warmed up and to think about something that we already know that can support us with our learning of fractions. So what I would like us to do is I would like us to have a quick maths review. Okay, now we need to think back to when we were learning all about multiplication and division. And I'd like you to pause the video and think about this question. What do we remember about dividing by 2? It can be anything at all. So pause the video now and have a little think or discuss what you remember about dividing by 2. Okay, some of you may have said that when we divide by 2, it's just the same as sharing between 2. So imagine if you had a bag of sweets and you had an amount inside, so say for example you had 8 sweets inside the bag and you were sharing them between 2 people. That's just what dividing by 2 is like, isn't it? Because we divide, we share, okay? And if we're just dividing it by 2, then it's just the same as halving, isn't it? So sharing or dividing by 2 is just the same as halving something, and this will really support us with our understanding of fractions today. Okay, now our quick maths review then for today is I want you to practice that. I want you to practice dividing by 2 or sharing or halving between 2. Okay, so I would like you to find half or divide each of the numbers by 2. So you may pause the video now, you might want to do it on a bit of scrap paper and you might want to draw it out, or you might want to do it mentally. It's up to you, okay? So pause the video and have a go. Okay, I'm now going to reveal the answers, okay? So 20 divided by 2 or shared by 2 or halved is equal to 10. 8 divided by 2 or shared by 2 or halved is equal to 4. 4 divided by 2 or halved is 2, and 2 divided by 2 or halved is equal to 1. Well done if you managed to get some of those correct. If you didn't, please make sure you take this opportunity to fix it. Okay children, it's now time for the subetising part of the lesson. I'm going to show you images on each of the slides and I would like you to count how many there are quickly, okay? It's going to go fast, so you've got to be quick. Are you ready children? Let's go. Well done if you managed to spot that there were 8 acorns hiding in the picture. Well done if you said that there were 6 acorns. Well done if you managed to spot that there were 10. Might be handy to count in your 3s here. Well done if you managed to spot that there were 9 acorns hiding in the picture. Well done everybody for your subetising today. Remember, it's a very important skill for us to master, so keep trying hard to notice the amounts and the arrangements that you see. So children, it's now time to look at our big picture, and we need to pull out the maths that we can see from this big picture, okay? Now, one of the things that I've spotted is I've spotted something to do with these plates up here. I can see that there are 7 sandwiches on one plate and 7 sandwiches on the other. How many sandwiches are there all together? Well done if you managed to work out that there are 14, because double 7 is 14, or 7 add another 7 is also equal to 14, isn't it? Or 7 times 2 plates is equal to 14. Let's have a look at this one too. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of cakes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cakes on each. How would I work out the answer to this question? Think back to our multiplication and division topic and see if you can work out the answer now. Well done if you've managed to spot that there are 20. You could have counted each individual cake, or you could have done 4 times 5, which is equal to 20, isn't it? Or you could have even done 5 times 4, because we know that multiplication is commutative. Well done if you managed to spot the answer. Now what I would like you to do is take this opportunity to pause the video and spot the maths that you can see hiding inside the picture. Okay children, it's time for our key vocabulary. We've got lots of new words here today. Let's have a go at practicing to say each of the words out loud. And then what we will do is we will use these words throughout our lesson to build on our understanding of fractions. My turn, your turn. Equal parts. Quarter. Share. Whole. Fraction. Divide. Half. Some of those words we're already very familiar with, but some of them may be quite new to you, like this idea of fraction. But don't worry, we will learn much more about that the more we get into this topic. Okay children, for today's Do Now, what I would like you to do is I would like you to recap what we learned during our talk on time, and I would like you to circle the clocks that identify 1/2 okay? So read all of the clocks and put a circle around the ones that you know read 1/2. So you can go ahead and complete the Do Now part of the activity right now. Off you go. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at how we divide into equal parts. You may be familiar with the representation that you can see on the screen now. You can see that we have 2 part whole models. Above the first one, we've got an equation that says 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. And we've also got another little equation that says 1/2 of 2 equals, and we need to find out what 1/2 of 2 equals. We're going to represent this using our part whole model. I'm going to draw it on there for you now. So let's identify what is the whole in this situation. Well, the whole is the amount that we're going to share. So if we look at it in this equation, it's 2, isn't it? So it must be 2 in this equation. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my whole of 2 on my part whole model. There's 1 and 2. And again, I'm going to draw it on here, 1 and 2. Now let's imagine that these are our bag, that our whole here is a bag and the dots represent sweeties. We're going to share them equally between 2 people. So we've got 2 sweets and we've got 2 people. The parts, these bits here, are the people, okay? So we've got 2 sweets to share equally amongst 2 people. So let's share this one first. We're going to put that one in here, and then we'll share this one with this person and put that one in here. So we can quite clearly see that 2 divided by or shared by 2 people is equal to 1, because there's nothing else left in our whole for us to share. Now it's the same over here, because we've got our 2 sweets and we're going to halve those sweets in the bag and share them out between the 2 people. Let's start with this one again. 1 for you and 1 for you. So we know that 1/2 of 2 is equal to 1. And we could even look at it like this. We've got our 2 dots, and if we were to split it down the middle or half it, we would have 1 on this side and 1 on that side. So we know that 1/2 of 2 is equal to 1. We can also represent this using our circle model. If we look here, we've got our 2 equations again, and we've got our circle. Remember, we need to put the whole in the middle of our circle, and in this case, our whole is 2. Now let's half 2. We're going to split it right down the middle, and we've got 1 on one side and 1 on the other. because half of 2 is equal to 1. One part of this is worth 1, okay? Now, children, I just want you to take a moment and I want you to look now at the screen. We looked at part-whole models on not the last slide that we looked at, but the one before, okay? And I want you to tell me something that you notice that's different with this part-whole model that you can see, okay? So you might want to pause the video and have a little think, or tell somebody close by, what do you notice about what's changed on this part-whole model? Off you go. Okay, some of you may have said that actually in this part-whole model, it's not split into 2 equal parts. It's split into 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So now it's split into 4 equal parts, okay? So all this means is that we are going to be dividing by 4. So rather than dividing by 2, like we did on the last slides, we're now going to be dividing by 4. Now, when we divide by 4, we also know this as quartering something, okay? So remember when we looked at quarters last time, we halved something and halved it again. That's all we are doing for this as well, okay? We're only splitting a whole up into 4 equal parts, okay? So we're halving it and we're halving it again. Now, one of the ways that we can do this is using our part-whole model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the whole in our whole section of our part-whole model now. Now, some of you may have said this already, and the whole is actually 4 because that's the amount that we want to share into equal groups, isn't it? So I'm going to go ahead and draw my 4 little dots in here. I'll just do this side first, okay? So I've got my 4 little dots and I'm going to share them equally into my 4 parts that I've got on my part-whole model, okay? So I'm going to cross that one off and put in there, cross this one off and put that one there, cross this one off and put it here, and finally cross this one off and put it in there. Now, are there any more to share from my whole? No, they're not. So, no, there's not rather. So, we now know that 4 divided by 4 is equal to 1. If we've got 4 sweets and we've got 4 children and we're sharing the sweets equally between those children, then we know that each of the children will get 1, okay? Now, this is also the same when we're quartering something. We are just halving it and halving it again, okay? So we are halving it and we are halving it again, okay? So we're splitting it into 4 equal parts. We've got 1 there, we've got 1 here, we've got another one going in there, and another one going in there. So a quarter of 4 is equal to 1. Well done, everybody, because it's just the same as dividing something or sharing something by 4, okay? So when we quarter something, we just share or share it or divide it between 4 equal groups, okay? Again, we can look at this using our circle method as well, which I actually find much easier. So remember, what we do with our circle method is we put our whole in the middle, and our whole is 4. Then we halve it, and if we split 4 in half, it becomes 2, doesn't it? And then we halve it again, and each of our 4 parts is equal to 1. Okay, now in today's main activity, you are going to be using the numbers that you can see on the screen. And what you are going to be doing is you're going to be finding half and a quarter of each of these numbers, okay? So remember, when we're halving something, we're dividing it by 2. And when we are quartering something, we're dividing it by 4, okay? So we're splitting. If we're halving, we're splitting it into 2 equal parts. If we are quartering something, we are splitting it into 4 equal parts, okay? So what you're going to be doing is you are going to be using the worksheet as a guide. you're going to be putting each of these numbers into a part-whole model and doing exactly what Miss Thompson has done and demonstrated throughout the lesson. Then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be writing it as a division equation. So for example, you will write 4 divided by 2 equals, okay? So you're going to be doing that. And then you're going to be representing it as a circle method as well, okay? So hopefully you will get on really, really well with this today, because I know we've already been doing a little bit of groundwork to get us ready for halving and quartering amounts, haven't we? Okay, so that's your task for today. Well done if you've decided to challenge yourself to today's chili challenge. Now, we can see here that we've got a shape and we've got a little bit of a statement. So this statement is written by Rosie. So Rosie says that the shaded parts of the shape do not show half because there are 4 parts and not 2. But we need to decide whether we agree with her statement or whether we disagree. Now I want you to stop and have a little think. Do you agree or disagree? Maybe think about if we swapped these 2 around, okay? So if we swap these 2 shaded parts, the shaded part and the unshaded part around the 2 squares, do you think that we would potentially have half of the shape shaded then? Okay, so I'm not going to tell you anymore. I gave you a big clue there. So you need to identify whether you agree or whether you disagree and tell me why, okay? So think about that idea of if you switch those 2 squares around, okay? Good luck, everyone. Now, for our final part of today's lesson, what I would like you to do is take a look at my 2-part whole models that I've got on the screen. You can see that in the whole, we've got 2 equal amounts, haven't we? So in the whole over here, we have 6, 7, 8, and in the whole over here, we've got a 6, 7, 8. Okay, so they're exactly the same. But what do you notice about the parts? Okay, so maybe you would like to pause the video here and have a little chat with somebody close by, or you could even just have a little think. What do you notice about what's different? Well done if you've noticed that the parts on this representation are not shared equally. On the first representation, we can see that in each of the 4 parts there are 2. So we know that we have divided by 4, haven't we, equally? We've equally shared those 4 amounts. But on the second representation, they are not equal groups. We've got a 2, a 2, a 1 and a 3. So we've not managed to quarter or share our amounts equally between 4. Okay, so the first one shows quarters, but the second one does not. Well done for all of your hard work in maths today. Keep up the good work, and I hope that you are looking forward to learning more about fractions tomorrow. See you soon, everyone.